Interesting. So what? You want to ask this question? You want me to, Tim?
Go.
Well, so give me the elevator pitch of what is Eastern Outdoors.
Yeah. Well, I have to kind of correct you. It's Easton.
Man, first you ghost me, and then I mess up your name. I mean, I'm batting 1,000. I'm leaving the studio. Easton Outdoors. That's what I said. I don't know why I said Eastern. Easton. Okay. So, Micah, tell me about Easton Outdoors. What is it?
Yeah. So we are the #1 water feature company in Hampton Roads. We are working to become the #1 outdoor living company in Hampton Roads.
Man, there you go.
I have nothing else to say. That's great. How often did you have to figure out kind of the vernacular behind that, or figuring out kind of the changing of different words in there that worked for you? Or you just kind of are like, this is what we are, and didn't spend a lot of time on it?
Yeah, we wrote it on the board in 2018. We will become the #1 water feature company in Hampton Roads. And that kind of became a realization when two things happened. Beginning of this year, we built a water feature in front of Bass Pro in Hampton. And they reached out to us and asked us to do it, and nobody else bid against us for the job. And that was the first water feature that has ever been rebuilt at a Bass Pro ever. And it was the first water feature that's ever been built at a Bass Pro that was not built by a subsidiary or a direct employee of a Bass Pro company. So that was kind of a crowning moment for us.
That's interesting. What so like one of the premise of our show here is we want to give folks the tips and knowledge they need to hit that $1 million mark with their business. I would think that with something that you're doing with outdoor water features, I mean, it's kind of like, hey, if you can think it, we can do it kind of deal. Yeah. So as you running this business, how do you approach opportunities when you're here, when you're hearing someone's vision on what they want to do? Do you just figure it out? Do you say, yep, we'll figure it out, and you're transparent? Or do you shy away on things because you don't know if it's possible? I find that there's so many business owners out there that are trying to start their business. They're so afraid to step out out of their comfort zone, or they want that perfect job description before they sign themselves up to do it. I don't think that you're in a business or an industry that you can do that. You've got to kind of just get out there and just, hey, we'll figure it out and we'll make it happen. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So for us, I think a lot of it starts with actually the client training. So setting the expectation way before you ever have your first conversation with them. And that goes back to our content creation, what we're putting out there. We're showing our actual work real time. We're showing our jobs that we've completed. So when somebody comes to us and they ask for something specific, if it's not something that looks like we've done in the past, we actually say no. We've niched down. We've got a skill set that my team is very talented at, and they don't like to necessarily change the way things are going to look. There's a few options you can pick and a few ways that you can change it, but for the most part, if they're asking for something that doesn't look like something we've created, we say no.
So was the work that you did for Bass Pro, was that something you've done before, or was that like way out of your comfort zone?
No, it matched exactly the kind of work that we're doing in the past. And, wow. The rock waterfalls, a lot of times we'll get people request, like we build like a slate waterfall. We use all boulders, and we kind of say no for that. Sometimes we'll get people ask for water features that maybe won't fit the space that they have. And so, as our purpose is to become the expert and kind of a teacher, we kind of guide them to finding that perfect waterfall for their space, or that perfect water feature for their space. And budget plays a large factor in what they can put in that space.
Okay, so you run a business that is, I think a lot of people would be like, you do a lot of things online. That's really odd. That's really weird. You just do things in my backyard, in my front yard, whatever. Why would you spend so much time online? and then I'm hearing certain things that are really, really interesting. So you're marketing yourself kind of on an ongoing basis. If you think about an amusement park or a new roller coaster that's being opened, they're constantly showing you the footers going in, the next rung of the roller coaster going up, and then when it opens, you're like, this is great. And so it sounds like you're kind of showcasing that along the way, and I think that's wonderful. And then another thing that I think is quite interesting that most people don't do is the whole client training aspect of it, so that you're ready, they're ready for you even before the dotted line comes there. Is this all just like Marcus Sheridan stuff, or where did you kind of learn to grasp online in a business that has inevitably nothing to do with being online?
Right. So Tom Reber, Contractor Fight, he's the reason that I've done all of this. None of these are my ideas. Marcus Sheridan is kind of Tom Reber pushed the line, and this is where things need to go. The content creation is how people are going to find you, trust you, know you. And then Marcus Sheridan kind of perfected that. So Marcus Sheridan has a company, he's a silent partner now, River Pools and Spas, and they're out of Warsaw, Virginia. And in 2008, his business completely disappeared. All the pools that they were installing, all the work that they were doing just completely disappeared. And he talks about this in his book. And he kind of got to a point where he didn't know what they were going to do because they didn't have work coming in. So he started just blogging. And I believe it was within 18 months, they were the #1 trafficked website in the world for swimming pools, because he just started creating content. And of course, any question that anybody could ever ask about a pool, he's like, well, let me put it up there. So like, how much does, concrete versus fiberglass, right? He wrote something about that, and he gave prompts.
What happens when you float your liner at a pool? Anything like that, right? Like
anything like that. Yep. And they only do fiberglass pools, but he spent a lot of time talking about the pros of concrete or the pros of vinyl, because that's what people were searching for. So he'd bring them into the site. He'd talk about his competitors. He would talk about what's going on with them. So Tom Reber has a very disciplined style of making sure you're making the content, making sure you're getting it out there, kind of talk about what you're doing, show people, teach them. And then Marcus Sheridan has a very here's kind of all the reasons why, and here's kind of what the psychological things you're trying to do by creating the content, and here's how it's worked for me and what's happened.
Are you stuck at your home office, socially distanced coffee shop, or your fancy all bricked out corner office, wondering why no one can see your business and sales are all over the place? Sounds like you need a pro. That's why I developed the Anomaly Academy. Insert clever copy here. Oh, I guess I was supposed to put something else there. Oops. You can grab access to the Anomaly Academy now at zackmillersays.com/Anomaly Academy.